Good morning. It's 9 a.m. and I'll call to order the Board of Directors special meeting workshop for Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. May I have a roll call, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Here.
Director Duff,
Present.
Director Martin,
Present.
Vice President Griffith, President Sewell.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. And I do want to note that President Griffith will be attending. He's just running a little late this morning. Item 3, we will not have any directors participating remotely. We'll skip that. Item 4, Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please rise. Director Martin, would you like to lead us?
Sure. Please join me in saluting our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 5, public input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public wishing to address the board today?
President Sewell, not online.
Okay. We'll move on to our discussion items. Item 6 is unclaimed property. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell, members of the board. I'll ask our Director of Finance, Arturo Ceja, to give this presentation. Arturo?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, President Sewell, and members of the board. Let me pull up my presentation here. Give me 1 second. Can you see that on your screen?
Yep.
Claim property. As we continue to look at our policies and procedures and outstanding items in the accounting department, we're cleaning things up as we go along. One of the things we have had in our books have been outstanding checks that have been sitting there for some of them close to 10 years. It is time to start cleaning that up. And not only that, some of them are outstanding from previous bank accounts with when we used to be with BBVA and things like that. So we're looking at the process and reviewing and finding those things. Not only does it create administrative work for staff trying to reconcile those items, but also in just keeping that in the books. So following recent policy changes in the state of California with unclaimed property process, we are going to start following that, and we're presenting this to the board as an option. We don't have a specific policy, but as you'll see, one of the steps in here is to create a formal policy that we'll bring back to you at the regular study session and then the regular board meeting. So let's go through this process. Let me see. I used Skylar Aubrey, our accounting manager, had recently done a training with the CSMFO. I'm sorry, I misspelled that. Through the LSL CPAs, and basically they did a really good presentation of what is unclaimed property, what the districts need to do to follow it, and basically it's any uncashed or voided payroll checks, accounts receivable credits, refunds, Dropbox contents that have not been processed, especially by a third party. What happens a lot is, and recently it did happen, we get someone paying the bills for someone else. Mission Springs, for example, was one vendor. They send it to us instead of the Mission Springs contractor. So $15,000 we had to process because we don't know if it actually belongs for the payment. They meant to send a $15,000 check on a $200 water account balance. So we have to process it until we find out what's actually going on. We then have to, once they let us know that it was intended for another vendor, we turn around and pay that back. However, we have a lot of those that are outstanding over 3 years. So we're following the California government code 50050, which basically states, and it goes through the process of laying out what we have to follow in order to process these funds back into the district. The Goal is, and the district and the board can choose what to do with those funds after we've gone through this process. I believe it behooves us to actually put that money back into the community, into the Help to Others fund, as we've been talking about the rate increases and things like that. However, do understand and do know that the policy, the code will allow the district to use those funds however we see fit. But I think it would be very good for us to put it back into the community, especially for those who cannot afford after the rate increases their water. I'm not going to go through this, but I will provide you some background on this. It basically states that after 3 years, if someone has not come and claimed their cash their check, basically, then we can go ahead and follow the process to not only find out if they're still in the same property, reach out to those customers so they can understand that they have outstanding checks and cash it. Otherwise, we will have to follow the process of putting it back on the district. And the rules are pretty specific. We have to identify the unclaimed property. What is it? On cash checks by vendors, employees, customers. We have to attempt to contact the property owner. We have to publish it, the notice in newspapers, also on our website. We have to pay any amounts that are claimed. And that's another thing we're going to set up is a claim process on our website for any customer or vendor that can come in and say that those funds belong to us. And here's proof that that check, when you sent it, was under our name and we need to cash that. So what we do is at that point, we void and reissue the check and they get paid. So that's a simple process. However, there are best practices that we want to follow in terms of following the claim process, and we'll go through those here pretty soon. Finally, determination of what to do with the unclaimed after the completion of steps 1 through 4. We can move it to the general fund, like I said, to use however we need. We can escheat it to the state of California. That process usually only follows after if we don't have a good tracking system. If we don't have addresses for customers, if we don't have any information that we can send out to reach them, we have to send it to the state. However, it ends up creating more work for us because they're still going to contact us. They're still going to want to go through a claim process through us, creating more work for staff. So if we keep it in-house, not only could we eliminate all of that extra work we have to do, but we can also just turn around and use it for our community. And we do have a good tracking system. So that's what it comes down to. And again, other use for other means identified by district policy. And if it is the board's decision, we can specify that it can go to the Help to Others program. The outstanding check deposit versus unclaimed property. Because a check is outstanding does not necessarily mean that it's automatically unclaimed property. We have to allow our vendors and our customers, when we issue refunds, enough time to cash that check. Our current checks expire after 90 days. So that's more than enough time. However, I think we want to follow the best practices, which is establish it in our policy that we're not going to do anything for 6 to 12 months. And that's a good policy to have because it gives people enough time to find that check, cash it. If it gets rejected by the bank because it's over the 90 days, then they can contact us, reissue that check with the current date, and it can be cashed without any problem. Except, again, we have to make sure that whoever's making that claim, that money belongs to them as opposed to anyone that just found it in the street somewhere. So what are the next steps? First of all, identify unclaimed property. We went through this process. We have right now a little over 100,000 of uncashed checks over 6 months. 69,000 of that has been outstanding over 3 years. So we immediately can transfer 69,000 after following the process of posting the unclaimed funds to our website and on the newspaper back into the district after they are unclaimed. We have to establish an unclaimed property policy, which we'll bring back at the study session. Establish a reasonable tracking system and maintain online. We'll keep a list of those customers and vendors that have outstanding property posted on our website. and have the claim, the outstanding claim property form right next to it so they can fill it out at the same time as they are identifying they do in fact have unclaimed property.
Yeah, the question on there regarding unclaimed checks. Is there that seems very bizarre to me that there'd be money available that somebody was expecting and didn't claim it. Has there been a general reason why these people, is it that they've moved or what?
That's usually what happens. A lot of it is people that move and it's customers that are expecting a refund. Many of them move and never go back to the address that they left from, and those checks sit there. A lot of them end up in the trash. We recently had a customer after 6 years, they found a check and came and said, I just found it. Here's my ID. And we voided and reissued that check. So it does happen. And that's
What
primarily.
effort do we make on trying to track these people down to get them the money that they are owed?
We are always asking, whenever someone comes and closes an account, we always ask for a forwarding address. That's first and foremost, and also an updated phone number. So if we cannot, so when we get a check that's returned to the district, after we send to the new address, we look up the information and give them a call. If they still don't answer, there's really not much else we can do unless we're spending now district resources to go find these customers or vendors. That's going above and beyond. And at this point, we've done everything that we can by having an updated address and a phone number, other than hiring a company that go look for these customers. It would be prohibitive for us to do
I'm
that work.
not even suggesting that
Right.
we do a Herculean effort to
Right.
track these people down.
Yep.
As long as we did as you said, and that's satisfactory.
Right.
I mean, and ultimately, it's their responsibility.
Right.
So,
Yes,
Just to add to that, we may want to ask for email addresses.
right.
Because that doesn't change when people move. So if we aren't asking for that for every account holder, when they close, we definitely should ask for that.
We are asking for email addresses, and the main reason we do that, which thank you for bringing that up, when we have customers not signing up for the portal, we're signing them automatically to get leak alerts, even though they haven't signed up themselves. So we do have that information on hand for that main reason, but also that extends to everything else that we do for sure.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? So the next steps on this process is once we've gone through the reaching out, issuing any claims, refunds at that point, we move that to the unclaimed property account. In the policy, we'll spell out what account that is. We're creating a new account so that we can pull the funds from outstanding checks into a unclaimed processed property account to make it very clear what process we're following, and that there is no issue or concern of those funds how they ended up in that account.
Are you able to, in our system, have it automatically flagged for that 90-day check expiration rule so that at 90 days, those uncashed are automatically flagged and moved over to the other account? There has to be a way it can be automatically.
Not currently in our system.
Let's
However,
make sure we work with the new people
yeah, of course.
to make that happen, because I think that if that 90-day trigger moves it and alerts everyone, we send a second notice out.
Right.
That should be it.
Right.
And we can then post it, after the time expires. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, and we'll make sure that that's part of our internal procedures. Right now, I do have an accountant that goes through the monthly bank reconciliation, and she has to pull all those outstanding checks because she has to clear the ones that clear the bank for the current month. So we do have a list of that we can easily just identify and move on after the fact. But yeah, it would be a lot easier if the system did it for us.
I would definitely ask. I know they can program that.
Absolutely. Next steps, 2, and this is basically after following the funds coming back into the district accounts. We would create again that unclaimed property list to publish in the newspaper and online. We do our due diligence communication by not only posting it on social media, posting it on our website, reaching out to those phone numbers that we have on hand. And then next is a public notice of a list of those customers, vendors that we have outstanding funds for, with basic information such as either the account number in their name and the amount, or even just a property address, and posting it that way, as the law basically states that we have to do.
And emailing them too?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Then we process any unclaimed, received claims, at which point we have that form online. They go in there, fill out the claim. Our staff goes through the process of reviewing it, following best practices. Usually we have the ID or email address on their account that we can confirm, and that should be an automatic process. Once we do that, then we go back, void and reissue that check, and send to that customer to their new address, more than likely. And then finally, if we don't, and there's funds still there sitting in that account, we move it to the Help to Others Fund. Again, that is the prerogative of the board. However, that is the suggestion the staff is recommending. And at this point, I will answer any other questions.
Any other questions?
I would just like to say, I noticed the city of San Diego has put an ad out there, unclaimed property, and they're going to be putting that into their general fund. And so apparently this is something that businesses always, well, not always, but catch up to them, and they go ahead and take care of it. So thank you. I think we're on the right track with this and getting the money there where it needs to go.
Is there really it's just preference on that 6-month versus 12-month window?
It is, and that'll be our internal policies right now. Checks after 90 days, they are voided, automatically voided. So even if they try to cash it, the bank won't accept it. So it is the board's input that we would need in order to change that 6 to 12 months. That's best practice. I don't want someone coming in within 91 days wanting to make a claim and said, sorry, we can issue that refund. I think 12 months more than is enough. However, those checks do sit there sometimes, just waiting to be cashed.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd lean more towards the 12 months just to be on the longer end, but
I actually wanted to clarify. I was understanding that at 6 months, we would move toward the publishing and notifying them.
Correct.
So if they've already allowed the check to expire at 90 days, and we give them another 90 days before we publish it, that's 6 months completely before end. And don't they have the legal right to claim it even after the fact, no matter what?
Right. So
there's no stopping them. They can still come in and show proof that we were to receive a refund, and here's our proof, and then we would do our research and what have you. So it doesn't stop them from collecting after the 6 or 12 months. It just gives us like a more standardized way to clean up our system. To me, it seems like moving faster is a little bit better, but that's just my personal opinion.
So even after whatever that time is, they come in with a voided check?
Yeah, there's exceptions as to when we cannot do something like that. Like the law is very specific. I know we don't have any infants, for example, that have any accounts open, with us. They would get a refund, but it goes through all that process of any incapacitated person, infants, anyone that cannot rightfully have like an account open with us at that point in time. So there is exceptions where we have to, and those are going to be far in between. And we'll have a process to identify those and, make sure that we void and reissue those checks without any concern, for sure.
And sorry if I missed it, but you mentioned the 15,000 example. Most of these are much smaller values.
They are. Yeah. These are $5. These are $20. These are, anything in between $300 and $50, I would say.
Okay.
That is the majority of the checks outstanding. In fact, the law says that for anything under $15, we don't even have to post it. We can automatically just transfer it. However, I don't think, we want to do that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We can come back later and change it if you want. However, they do give us that option.
Okay.
Question. Even though it says void in 90 days, on our website or our information, does it say, make the statement that even though it does say void after 90 days, you're still entitled to the money?
Right.
If you come in? So we're letting the people know that that's how that can be
We
corrected?
are not publicizing that right now, but we will put that as part of the unclaimed property process. Once we decide, the board decides how long we are gonna give those customers. In fact, we could go back to the bank and say, change that 90 days to, a year if we wanted to. But I don't think we want to change that
Whatever,
right now.
whatever is the best for your accounting, that's what we're concerned with too, but.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that say, oh, it's voided, here's a check voided 90 days, we lost the money.
Right.
And so that's why I think it's important that we
Mhm.
let them know that that's not the case.
Very good point. Really quickly, just to circle back, thank you for bringing that $15,000 up. Is the policy when checks come in, they're just automatically deposited and then afterwards they're sorted to the appropriate accounts?
Not until we do the research after the payment was received.
So I guess I find it a little strange, I guess, that you'd process a $15,000 check when the bill was only $200 or $300.
The name on the check was Mission Springs. That's all it said.
Oh,
However,
no account number in it.
no, well, it came with the stub
Okay.
on a $200 balance. So it came together, except that what the vendor did is the Mission Springs was a contractor. I can't remember the name, Mission Springs Consulting or something like that. And so we can determine if Mission Springs is water district or anyone else.
But if our billing was so egregiously different, to me, common sense would tell me I should contact the customer.
We did reach out. Yes,
And then they didn't respond, so we cashed it?
exactly.
Okay, that makes more sense to me. It seems a little irresponsible to take money through our account and cause all of that work when maybe it was just easier to say, you need to pick this up. This was wrong.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything further? No? Thank you, Arturo. We'll move on to item 7, help to others.
Thank you, President Sewell, members of the board. I'll ask Assistant General Manager Mary Champion to talk about this particular program. Mary?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. I just wanted to revisit this since we did talk about it in August, the Help to Others program, and we are making a big push to really get the word out on this as we're going out and doing our community presentations regarding Prop 218. But in light of what Arturo just shared, I also wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what the proposed amounts and pledge amounts are. So as you guys can recall, Help to Others is our bill payment assistance program for customers. They can receive a one-time pledge. Go ahead and to the next slide. And the income guidelines are based on 400% of federal poverty guidelines. So that means a single person in a home, that's $62,650. They do need a proof of gross annual income, but it's a very easy process to get qualified for the program. The United Way administers the program completely. We don't accept that proof of income. We're not the ones taking that private information, and that's what we're paying the United Way to help proctor that part of it. Next slide. As you can see here, this is really the meat of what I wanted to talk about is the credit amounts. We had some discussion about originally we looked at $250, then we looked at $200, and then right now we've kind of settled on $150. But I did want to point out that we do have some excess funds because our numbers have not been very large. On the next slide. You can see from fiscal year 2022, 23, 24, and 25. We have an annual budget of $25,000 for this program. However, looking at our cell phone tower revenues, we have at least $104,000 minus about $25,000 in sponsorships. So we have closer to $80,000 that'll be available to us annually for this program. And then on top of it, if we get our unclaimed properties monies cleaned up, we'll have additional funding there. So looking at if we were to leave it at the $150 pledge amount, that's 533 families plus an additional 460 families. So we'd be at over 1,000 families that could be covered in a year.
That additional 460, is that the unclaimed property amount?
Yes, exactly.
Just since that's a bigger time frame chunk of money, should we split that 67,000 or whatever it is into 3 years just because it's sat there for, I mean, typically moving forward, we're not going to see 67 each year.
Exactly. I don't think we'll see that high of amount, but we could, move some things around. We could go up to 150, 175. We could look at doing something like that. We do have restrictions on it, but we can also monitor this. This is something that we could be looking at monthly as part of our GM report. And if we feel that we're getting lower on funds, we could revisit it at any time. So that's why I kind of just wanted to bring it up today so we could kind of talk about it and kind of game plan a little bit. I do like your idea of maybe breaking it up. Maybe we go up to 175, which I haven't done the math on.
Well, I've been kind of thinking about it more too. Seeing the totals that other agencies are giving,
Go back one slide, please.
I think 200, especially with the rate of inflation and everything. I'd rather us get to a point that, I mean, are we going to come back in a year and bump it again? I mean,
Exactly.
we're just chasing it. So
I originally I felt more confident in 200 or even 250, but it's really a board decision where you feel it would be best for us to land. But I think we have the funds available to us right now to make it higher, and then we can monitor it.
and then that 25,000 budget, is that a policy that we have set in stone, or that's just kind of,
That's just what we've budgeted. So it's part of our annual budget that we bring you each year.
and you said we could go as high
But
as,
we have as much as 80,000 safely that we could utilize, not including the monies that Arturo just mentioned.
Question.
Mhm.
In referring to this buffering our rate increase that is proposed currently, what was that amount of the annual increase? Do we know? I know you had presented it, I believe at the library presentation, but I don't remember it off the top of my head.
7 times 12, right? 709.
Sorry, I don't have that.
$85.08 would be for the first year.
Water
That's water and
and
sewer,
sewer. Okay.
which not all those customers will be water and sewer customers. If they're renters, a lot of times they'll just be paying water.
I'm going to throw my opinion out there for the board. I'm okay with 175 or 200, but I think that we have a lot of other community needs that we want to be able to not pull everything in one spot and not be able to use in other areas of community benefits. So I just kind of want to keep that in mind because we only have the one pool of money. We only have the one set of funds that can be used for these kind of community things, including our employee celebrations and our employee appreciation events. And so I want us to remember that as well. So these funds are for our community and our staff. So I want to make sure that we can spread it amongst all in our community, maybe some program with our kids or something to do with a real academy, things like that. I want to make sure we have more options than less. That's just my 2 cents.
what happens to this last year's 48, so less than 5,000 of that 25,000? Does that,
We
We just-
only pay what is expended. So that money stays in our reserves or in our general fund. What would you say? General fund?
but it's still considered, it has the flexibility that we can use it for.
Yes. Yes.
So do we have a total of how much that fund is?
We could look that up and get it back to you.
Okay. I'm just thinking if,
I have a question.
go ahead, sorry.
I'm okay with the 175 or the 200 and probably I think 175 would be adequate since we have the other programs. When I look here at this chart, my first question is, when does the 12-month time period start? On our calendar or if I come in, say I come in tomorrow and I ask for this program, my 12-month period starts tomorrow?
My understanding is it's from the day you use it to the next day you use it. So it's
Okay.
annually based on your individual annual.
All right, and then I see the city of Indio does it $50 credit 2 times per 12 months. The
Mhm.
rest of them only do it once. I'm sure that has something to do with their administrative time and cost on that. They only do it once. However, the way the city of Indio does it, it keeps it from being used all in 1 month, and then they're
short on their water bill for the rest of 12 months. Or the-
Also remember that Indio is the only one that's listed. That's only they only do water. They don't do water and sewer.
Okay.
So they're only looking at half of what you would normally look at from a bill perspective. So that's why it's a lesser amount and why they can do it multiple times.
Okay.
There's also additional administrative costs with the United Way to do it twice versus doing it one time.
Okay.
So we would pay a higher administrative fee to do a different because I would love to make it once a month for 12 months, but it would become it would be cost prohibitive to do that.
You're kind
I'm
of.
sorry. I won't even throw that out there.
Just out of curiosity, where is Joshua Basin Water District?
Joshua Tree.
I'm sorry, what?
Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree.
High desert.
It just says Joshua Basin.
You're right.
Oh, it's in Joshua. Okay.
Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Those fees, what are we looking, if our budget's 25, does that include the fees or that's just,
That's on top of
in-
it.
okay.
And I have a MOU from them and I'll bring it back during our October 16th study session. And we can look at the MOU so you can have exactly those fees.
I'm okay with the 175 once a year.
I'll put together then a chart that shows what that both look like with the administrative fees so you guys can see that.
Okay.
And then we'll also look up any residual funds. We also had some money that were unclaimed from our lawsuit and anything that was unclaimed from the class action lawsuit was also provided to the United Way. And my understanding is that's caused a surplus as well. So we do have some flexibility with this program.
And if you're running the numbers on the 175, could you do 200 as well? Just so we can
Absolutely.
compare the two. Anything further on help to others? I know we're trying to get Vice President Griffith
Trying to
here.
milk it a little bit.
I still have a Prop 218, right?
Yeah.
I still have one more presentation.
So we'll move on to item 8, and that's Prop 218 update.
Great. Well, thank you. That's me again, or unless you
Go
want. Since our last board meeting, we've been out in the community and we've been engaging with several different members of our community in different groups. On Tuesday, September 16th, we updated the City of Desert Hot Springs City Council and community during their meeting. We also held on that night our own community meeting, and we had a very lively group here in this building that asked a lot of good questions. They came with their newspaper articles in hand, ready to talk, and it was a really, really engaged group. Then following that, the next week on September 18th, we provided an update at the Senior Center during one of their hosted luncheons. That was a very large group of individuals, and we had many attendees express interest in the Help to Others program. And we spoke with the center's director about trying to host an in-person sign-up clinic with the United Way. So that's something we can look forward to in the future. On Tuesday, September 23rd, we were up at Mission Lakes where we hosted another community meeting. The Mission Lakes staff gave us their dining room to use, and we had residents from both inside and outside of Mission Lakes Country Club there for the presentation. Again, they were a very engaged audience, and they were very supportive of our efforts and very happy that we came all the way up to Mission Lakes to do the presentation. A lot of good chat about that and the septic to sewer program up there. Then following on the heels of that, on Thursday, September 25th, we provided Rotary members with an update during their luncheon meeting. And then the following week on Wednesday, October 1st, we headed up to Skyborn and we presented during their monthly HOA meeting. We had a really great meeting with some very engaged audience members. And they were a lot of community members that we normally probably wouldn't see at one of our normal community meetings or what we wouldn't see at maybe even just a club meeting. So it was really rewarding to be up there and to meet some new individuals and to hear some people who are actually pretty supportive of the district and what we're trying to do. We didn't stop there. Last Saturday, we were at Vista Montana, where we provided members during a breakfast. We gave them an update, and then we followed up with an informational table at the History Speaks event at the historical Rock House. And later today, I'll be presenting to the Women's Club during their monthly meeting. And then next Tuesday, we'll be at the Senior Center again, but this time we'll be coordinating with the Jewish Family Center. We do expect some of the same attendees from the last Senior Center presentation, but I've been told there'll be several new faces and it's a slightly different audience. We've also solidified our participation in the Community Resource Fair that we're partnering with the City of DHS to host on October 27th. I have a draft flyer, and they're going to be making a few tweaks today, and we should have a final version that we'll be able to start sharing and marketing to the community as early as tomorrow. In addition to MSWD and the United Way, we will also have the City of Desert Hot Springs and the police chief and his team, who will be grilling free hot dogs and providing chips and refreshments. Other informational tables include AQMD, Desert Healthcare District, Valor Financial Group, the Kiwanis Club, El Sol, Desert Valley Disposal, and several others. We'll also have a DJ and a folkloric dance group, and definitely candy for the kiddos since it's the week of Halloween. The planning team is still adding more groups every day, and I expect the participation and the resources to continue to grow. And that's my update for the Prop 218 meetings. Thank you.
And what was the date of that event?
Monday, October 27th, from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Rec Center. And I will have a flyer. We can email it out to everyone.
Yes, please.
Any questions, discussion? Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of more of a comment about,
Mine was too. So
all right. When I was at a meeting with, how do you pronounce the senator's last name, General Manager Macy?
Chilabella, Senator
Yes.
Chilabella.
Sure. Well, and so I was being a wise guy, and I text General Manager Macy with a picture of her, and I said, well, what are you up to tonight? And he replies, oh, Assistant General Manager Champion and April Scott and myself are at the HOA meeting explaining 218 to the board. And the person I was sitting next to, I showed it to them, and they thought that was funny. But what's even more hilarious is that at the end of the meeting, I told the senator that you said hello. And she says, I said, General Manager Macy from Mission Springs Water District said to say hello. And she thought for a minute. She says, oh, yeah, you guys got the world's best tasting water there. So I had a can of it. It was cold. From my last meeting, I take one home. If I don't drink it here, I take it home. So anyways, I was at my mom's place is why I was where she was at. And so I went home, went to my mom, got the can out, brought it back to her, and she was so grateful that she got a can of our water. So we're very well known with the senator.
I just wanted to make a comment on how hard the staff has worked to provide these not required public meetings for our community. And I've been incredibly heartwarmed and encouraged at the community's response to these meetings that you're having. And I just am extremely proud of the transparency and of the work that you guys are all doing. I know this is a lot of work. It's a lot, but the trust that you are building and the community response that we are receiving and that I am hearing from members of my area is all positive. And that's because of the hard work that all of you are putting into it. Every department, every person in Mission Springs Water District has touched this process. And it's just a really wonderful thing to see us interacting with the community in such a way, in something that is generally negative, but in reality is a positive, because we are taking responsibility and we are including and involving our community in that responsibility, and they are taking it with open arms. And so I'm just really, really grateful that you are all taking this as seriously as you have and have made all of those extra steps. So thank you.
Question on there, refresh my memory. How many citizens are on the CLEAR committee?
We had 11 community members.
11? Okay, thank you.
And I couldn't say it any better, Director Duff. So just to echo, thank you to staff's work. I've only attended one of those meetings, but it was very interesting to see how quick the community understood that we're under a lot of pressure to keep our service how it is. And I think we really showcase the value that we give them for what they're paying. So
And they all love our water. And that's one thing we are continually hearing. Whatever it takes to keep this winning the awards is what they want us to do. And that's been apparently clear.
But we keep serving it warm. I gave the senator a cold one and she said, that's so good water, but I've never had it cold.
That costs electricity.
It does.
Talk to the electricity company about that, 82%.
Anything further on Prop 218? With that, moving on to our comments section, general manager comments.
Thank you, President Sewell. I just wanted to remind the board that this week is Water Professionals Week. And I want to thank the board for their support and everything that we do. We have reached out to our staff today and provided bagels and donuts for everyone, thanking them for what they do. And I would also like to thank all the water districts in the Coachella Valley for what we're doing. And when we're out, we do talk to other people that are customers with other folks, and they appreciate what we're doing and what they're saying, and they have a better understanding of the water they get as well. So I just want to thank everybody in the water profession for everything that they do.
Great. That's it. Thank you. Item 10, director comments and requests for future agenda items. We have general comments, requests for future agenda, and then we do have a request for the State of the County December 11th, 2025 meeting to make it compensable. Do we want to take action on that today or just discuss that event and take action later this month? We have time.
Well, the one reason then why we put it on the agenda is really that the 11th is a study session day. So why we understand that some people would like to attend it, it is a little bit of a conflict with our study session, but what we'll do is we'll try to keep that agenda light so we can make sure that we all can attend the 5 o'clock when it starts. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, but yes, it's compensable, but also just making everyone aware that we're gonna have two different things going on that day.
Where is it held?
It's at Aquashore Arena, I believe.
Yes,
Okay.
this time.
And then director comments, Director Martin,
No,
Director Myhouse.
I have a request when we get to that point.
Sure, go ahead.
I brought it up before about the our critical service center, about getting a LEED green certification. And it does cost a little bit more, but we save money on the building in the long run by doing it with the LEED green standards. And don't let the idea of it costing a little bit more scare you, because we're going to try to pay for all that with grant money. And if we're doing it with grant money and we're doing it, we always like to be the first in the Coachella Valley to accomplish something. And so we would be the first, I believe, in the Coachella Valley that would have what is it, bronze, I think is the highest rating you can go on that. And I would like to see us get that, be the first with a building that complies with all the latest energy and environmental standards. So that's something I think we should all think about. I wish Robert was here already, or Vice President Griffith was here. So it goes right along with the lines of him pushing us to get some things. So I realize it will also take a little bit of extra effort now because we've gone so far in the process with the architect. And so some things there may have to be tweaked, but I'd really like to see us work towards that.
Thank you.
As I recall, we did talk about the certification, what it would take to go through that process and the benefits to that. I can't speak for the architect. That was several years ago, and it may have been before some of the current board members were on the board. So with that being said, you are correct. Since we have completed design, it may have additional cost to get there, but I'll ask the architect to come and focus on that specific thing at our next meeting when he gives us an update.
Thank you. I have brought this up before when we first got here, Amber and I first got here. So
Can I tag on to his a little bit to clarify maybe for the architect? Because we are so far along in the process, could he maybe look at materials that are green that can be replaced in the program versus can you give us some options as some materials that we could exchange that are more lead green?
That's exactly what I was thinking. I know that, the glass and how it's UV protected and things like that's a little bit more expensive, but it provides a little bit more protection from the sun and things like that. I know some of that was already incorporated in the design, but I don't think it was to the lead level. So what I'll do is I'll ask him if we can do that and how much, if it would set us back, because that could be something we could add as a specification and not change the design. So that is something that
Just
I'll,
alternative.
yes.
Yeah,
Great
it
idea.
shouldn't be too much design change. It'd be more like, okay, we
Product.
need to add a skylight here so that the employees will have natural lighting to work under. Putting the vents so that they're, the intake, the vents aren't on the same side as where the treatment plant would be, so we don't have to worry about sucking in. There's a lot of smaller stuff that can be done.
Great workshop.
And I think, what's the building gonna be made out of? Block, or is it gonna be a block building?
I don't know that I believe it's set up to be just a block building right now, but there's going to be, there is going to be not necessarily a design build. It's going to be a design build, but once we get the contractor, we then can negotiate some of the finer points of that to try to reduce costs where we can. That's why I feel pretty confident that we may be able to add some things to it to get LEED certified. So this is the time to do it, and we are getting very close to bid. So it'd be what we can change from a specification perspective and not the footprint of the building.
I think there's a lot there that we can add without a, I think the block is part of the lead.
And all different, the roofing material, it's a lot of the materials that change the project being green or not.
Yeah,
So.
even the water, the toilets and the sinks, and that's all part of it. So there's a lot there that I think we can do to get higher up there on that level.
No, I'll definitely ask the architect to come back, because in reality, we are getting ready to get the city to sign off on the last key components of our design. At that point, then we will be able to bid the building and move forward. One of the things we're also working with is Wells Fargo. We're bringing on a financial advisor to make sure of how we're funding it and things of that nature. The key points that we've been talking about for several years and what we have to bring to the board, this would just add one more part to that. So I don't see it's the right time to have these conversations. So we'll definitely bring something back to you.
All right. So and maybe we can have some kind of goal of which day we'd like to have it completed. Now that I opened up my mouth during another meeting and said, "Oh no, we'll have that done in 2 years. We got a new management and a new board now." So now that I opened up my mouth, maybe we should have a better game plan.
Workshop. Let's plan all of that out at the workshop.
This is the workshop. So
Next workshop.
next workshop, yeah.
When it's agended.
So I just want to say that's another concern, having a date that we can shoot for. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you. Director Dunn?
I think we have time later in the month, but I am going to be attending, and if anyone else is interested, Director Martin, I know you signed this letter as well. At the State of the City in Desert Hot Springs, we both signed a letter on behalf of Mission Springs Water District to the South Coast Air Quality Control Board about the dust since scintillary. They're having a dust summit that our Manuel Perez has put together with all the entities, including healthcare entities and everyone in the Valley. And so I would like to attend that on November 5th at 5 p.m. on behalf of Mission Springs and my involvement with CVAG. I would like to be compensated for going, but I also want to make sure that all of you guys know this is happening. And if you wanted to attend, solidarity is what they need to see. They did install an additional air monitor near Cathedral City, and those results have come in, and the South Coast Air Quality Control Board is wrong. We have been well above the parts per billion in the PM10 that we were supposed to stay below for many months, for long extended periods of time, according to this new air monitor. So we need to show solidarity for our community, and what goes on in the air is also affecting our machinery and our equipments and our everything, our lives. So I just wanted to bring that up, that it's November 5th. It's going to be in Palm Springs, so it's local. And it's, I can have Dory send out the official information from Manuel Perez's office, but I just wanted to put that out there and kind of have you guys thinking about that before our study session and
Yeah,
such.
could you shoot me a email?
I'll have Dory send it to the whole board.
Yeah, because I'd like to attend that as well.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
Okay. And maybe we can put that as a request for it being compensable and to take action on our Monday meeting.
Dory has just texted me and it's already on the on the agenda for next meeting.
Perfect.
Thank you, Dory.
And Director Martin, you had a
Yeah, I was reminded I do have an announcement to make. It tomorrow morning. I'm the guest speaker for the Palm Springs Realtors Association. That's taking place at the Mazzell Center in Palm Springs. And I want to thank Marianne for providing me with the information that I'll be able to provide the realtors there. I've done it one time before, and it's a good group.
great. What time is that?
I think breakfast is at 8:30, and I think I'm scheduled to go on at 9.
Okay.
Isn't the Palm Springs
Realtors Association.
the school district tomorrow?
District legislative breakfast tomorrow morning.
I'm sorry, what?
I'll be
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
Palm Springs legislative breakfast.
Yeah. I had already committed to this before.
So what time does it start? 9 o'clock?
It starts, my presentation starts at 9 o'clock. The function starts at, I believe, 8 o'clock or 8:30 is when breakfast is served. So
So maybe
We'll
we
still
can
be.
come by, hear your presentation. And where's it gonna be? Where's your presentation?
Mazzell Center
In Palm Springs?
is in Palm Springs on the
Next to the library.
corner of Ramon and Sunrise.
Right, right next to the library.
Break a leg.
Thank you.
And then I just have one. Typically, I'd wait till our normal meeting to report on a past meeting I attended. But last month I attended the CVWD meeting and they spoke on the divestiture of the ID8 area. And I just feel like, well, first I'd say Doria Wilms, our city manager here in Desert Hot Springs, spoke, and I think her comments were very relevant and well stated. Then a handful of community members from that ID8 area got up and weren't too fond of Mission Springs Water District. But I think there were a few things that just should be clarified, and that's that we did not initiate this divestiture. I think General Manager, you could probably kind of lay out the timeline a little better than I, but if anything, it was the city requesting the service agreement between us being able to serve sewer and water within CVWD and a small portion of ID8. And then CVWD offered this. So I don't know how.
You're absolutely correct. If you recall, at the time we were talking about this, we were still going through a variety of different lawsuits, and the city brought Mission Springs Water District and CVWD together at the new city hall. We sat down with them. We exchanged the agreement that CVWD has for DWA to have shared service agreement, and we were using that as a template. That agreement, however, was done before Prop 218. So there's some changes to that process that we were working through with CVWD, having to come up with rate structures and things like that for either treatment or transport of the sewage and things like that. And it got to the point where it wasn't too complicated. It was just getting complicated. And that's when CVWD said it would just be easier if we just divested that and gave that area to you, since those 4 wells, your staff drives by those every single day. Not that they wanted to give it away, it was just made sense with where we were doing. And we both, CVWD and Mission Springs, wanted to support the city's desire to continue to develop the Palm Drive area. So from that perspective, that you're absolutely right. It was not something that we initiated. It's something that the city brought us together. We started with the agreement, and then it turned into where it is today. I know that their board talked to us or started speaking at the public hearing about us taking the lead. That is not a position that we ever wanted to be in. We just wanted to support the city and their development and things of that nature, and we still continue to do that. So yes, the CVWD board continued that public hearing. It is still something that they're going to continue to work on and research. But from that perspective, at this point, we're in a wait and see to see how they're going to bring that back to us, because I know that they did take some of the comments they heard from the public to heart, and they want to get their board wants to get additional information. So we haven't stopped working on the process, but you're absolutely right. We did not initiate. We just wanted an agreement to serve that area, and CVWD is going to make the decision of how to handle the service to that area, more specifically the wastewater service, because we do have the plant close and they don't have any. I think their closest plant or closest treatment facility would be almost 8 to 12 miles away. So yeah, we're continuing to work for CVWD, but in reality, it's the best interest of the city and trying to help them develop that area.
Great. And I would just say, personally, I know I don't have enough information yet to make any kind of decision. I know they kind of put the ball in our court, but it's going to be a long time to kind of sift through all the data. And I'm just under the impression there's a lot of talk about rates, and that whole area, I think, is there's a lot that's going to go into their rate structure should they be separated from the rest of CVWD, or if they were to come to Mission Springs Water District. So it'll be interesting. I hope that we can still pursue two things at once: the ID8 area, getting data on that, and still the service agreement to serve the very small portion that the city is mostly interested in. I hope it's not an either or. I hope it's a
I believe based on that meeting, we will continue to look at both options. We always were looking at both options, but I think the focus in the last couple of months, maybe even 6 months, had been looking at possibly divesting. But I think that's exactly as it's continued.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thank you. And with that, we're going to head into closed session. And the item is item 11, conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, 2 potential cases. All right. Thank you. All right, we're back from closed session. We had item 11, conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, 2 potential cases, and we had no reportable action. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.